finish off October's reviews, I'm bringing around a game that I really wanted to review last year but ran out of time. Diablo 3. A lot of it was my fault. I knew I wanted to spend some time with it and kept pushing it off until it was a little too late. But hell, I did almost the same thing this year, so I figured screw it. I need to talk about it with what I have, so here we are. Man, my damn laziness. Anyway, right. Diablo 3. You've probably heard of it. It's part of Blizzard's top 3 series, coexisting with, of course, the Warcraft and Starcraft series. So many crafts. Surprising that this isn't called Diablo Craft. I really feel like I'm stalling because I just don't know how to begin this review. So I guess we'll just jump into the story. Sound good? Awesome. Diablo 3 starts with an amazing scene of a battlefield, drawn on parchment. It slowly gets more detail to it, and eventually shows a full-out war between good and evil. Zoom out a bit to find out that it was all taking place in a young girl named Leia's heart. Hell of a dream to have. She's sleeping in a pew in an old church, where her grandfather Deckard Cain is studying the demons of hell, as he's done for his entire life. The church starts falling apart, and they run, although Cain gets trapped inside. The hero you create's first task is to find Cain. So how does your hero get involved? Well, although they have different reasons for it, they are seeking the ball of light that soared from the heavens and crash-landed into the church. They save Cain, find the source of the asteroid, and then the story evolves quickly from there. I won't spoil too much for you, I promise, because since this game is Diablo, there's a hell of a lot of storyline involved, including a hell of a plot twist. No pun intended. And if you want more lore, there's plenty of books littering the environment. When picking one up, you'll be subjected to a short audio log, where the speaker will read aloud the contents. You also get some nice bonus XP from these, so you definitely want to seek them out, even if you don't care about the origins of Diablo. The same can be said about the demons you fight. Each of them has their own journal entry, typically voiced by Cain or a wandering journalist, and these will pop up when destroying a new creature for the first time. Although they don't give you any bonus XP, it's still extra background info on the world that Diablo is invading. So what kind of characters are you able to create? Well, there's about 6 classes to choose from, all with their pros and cons. I honestly haven't played them all yet, as I prefer my wizard, but here's the classes. As I said, the wizard is my favorite, and of course he's your expert at magical attacks. He's pretty physically frail, but with the right equipment can stand and fight with the best of them. You have the barbarian, which is your typical tank for the group. I've had a friend play as one once, and he was able to kill things before I could even mutter a single spell. The bastard. The Crusader is the new class for the Reaper of Souls expansion pack, and I really don't know too much about it, as I've never played this class either. Sure, I could read directly from the game's description, but you can do that too. Demon Hunter is like the archer of the group, and in my opinion is a blast to play. Use a rapid fire skill and it's like he has his own machine gun. Of course, it also drains his power pretty quickly, but it regenerates. Monk is the hand-to-hand fighter and also the healer of the group. I've only played one for up to about level 20 or 25, but I definitely had fun with him. Finally, Witch Doctor is like a summoner, in which you can bring up creatures to fight on your behalf. I played this class a bit, and although it took some getting used to, it was fun to play as well. So, I guess what I'm getting at is that all the classes are fun, which means that the game as a whole should be fun, right? Well, in theory, yes. In practice? Well, yeah, this game is freaking awesome, especially if you like mindless hack-and-slash action RPGs. Regardless on your class, you have more than enough ways to kill an enemy that gets close to you. In addition, you can have, I believe, up to 10 character slots, so there's no stopping you from trying out every job to see if you can make the most powerful hero ever. And although I mentioned each time that the characters were male, they are not gender-locked, and therefore you can choose to play as a man or a woman, regardless on the class. I wish more RPGs like this did this, especially free-to-play ones, instead of doing that bullshit gender lock on certain classes. Just saying. So now let's move on to the gameplay, which is where the game actually shines. Controls are incredibly simple to learn. You use the mouse to move and attack. By clicking the ground, your character will move there. Holding the mouse button down the ground creates a trail that your character will follow. If you click an enemy, you'll attack it once. Hold down the mouse button and attacking will continue until you either let go or the enemy dies and teleports away. Right-clicking is saved for special skills. In addition, you can use the numbers 1 through 4 to use other skills. By default, these skills are locked to certain keys, as each one is set to a certain category. For the most part, each of these categories have 4 to 6 ability sets available, so for any slot you can choose those moves. However, this is overrideable in the options, where you can allow yourself to equip any skill in any slot. Now, once I finished the game once, I played around with this, and I could say that it really makes customizing your character even better. You can even completely eliminate your primary attack, which never uses any of your character's magic power, whether it be hate, magic, wrath, or otherwise, and instead use a powerful attack that eats a chunk of your magic as your main method of beating down evil. It's not recommended, because if you run out of magic ammo, you're going to have to simply rely on your equipped weapon, and that is not good if you're on higher difficulties. Speaking of, there are many difficulties to choose from. For one, there's about 4 base difficulties, and then there's an additional torment mode that you can unlock. The torment mode is your expert, balls to the wall, no fooling around setting, and even that can be upgraded or downgraded depending on how much you're struggling. Regardless on what setting you choose, you will die, and the game will laugh at you. Of course, choosing higher difficulty settings, and not necessarily the ones in the torment section, the better loot you'll find, and that's always a plus. See, enemies will constantly be dropping items, be it jewels, gear, or gold. They used to drop health potions, but with recent updates to the game, those were dropped in favor of a lone health potion that regenerates after a few seconds. Frequently, to help assist you on restoring life, they may drop health globes, which instantly restore a large chunk of health. In addition, power globes may occasionally be released, which increase your power a bit and randomly throws out a small area attack. But anyway, back to the loot. You will want to find gold, because although you'll almost never need to buy items from merchants, trading the NPCs that forge your gear can get costly quickly. Plus, you can combine lower gems into more effective ones, and that is also expensive. Finally, if you put a gem in a gear slot and want to save the gear but use the gem elsewhere, you have to spend money, and like everything else, it's not cheap. So yeah, there are a few NPCs that will assist you by ripping apart gear to give you crafting supplies, a jeweler that combines gems and removes them from equipment, and a vendor that can switch up the look of your gear to make something else, or swapping out some of the stats. But those aren't all. You also have 3 people who can be AI-controlled partners that will assist you to kill enemies. You have a Templar that is found amongst cultists, who are trying to sacrifice him. Upon finding a chest of his gear, he'll join you on your quest. Next you'll find a Scoundrel, who is entertaining as he hits on every female character in the game, but keeps getting turned down. He's essentially a thief, and attacks with bows. You also have the Enchantress, who is your basic magician. As such, she's a bit weaker defensively, but can complement you if you need that extra little bit of magical boost. If any of these characters die while they were following you, they'll respawn a little bit later. They're never permanently gone. You can also switch out your companions at any time, and equip them with much more limited selection of gear. You can find character-specific accessories for them, but as for weapons, they are locked into their class. For example, since the Scoundrel is an archer, you cannot equip a sword or staff on him. He must use some sort of bow. In addition, if you're playing with a few friends, you cannot use these companions. They are limited to the single-player game. But then again, if you're playing with other humans, you won't need them. However, this comes at a catch. With each friend that you join forces with, the higher the difficulty will rise. The maximum group is 4 people, and if you have that, demons will be fighting with much more power. But then again, with 4 people, you should be able to work together. So do you need to fight your friends for gear? Not entirely. Every enemy drops things for each player, but only the things you can pick up are seen. If you want to share with your friends, you can just drop the gear you want to share. Simple enough. I keep talking about gear, and I gotta say, there is a ton of it. Every couple of enemies seems to drop it, and some enemies will drop better stuff than others. Killing a treasure goblin before they disappear is always a good idea if you want some awesome equipment. In addition, bosses always drop useful things. But if you don't want to constantly grind boss battles, you have the epics, which are the enemies you can find in the world that have a blue name to them. They almost always spawn in groups of 3, and are sometimes easy, sometimes more difficult. Basically, each epic has several abilities that are granted to them. I'll just list a few. Waller has the enemy spawn 3 walls to block you, and can immobilize you if the enemies do this at the same time. Jailer completely roots you to where you're standing. Frozen spawns shards of ice that explode, encasing you. Diseased spawns pools of poison, slowly damaging you as you stand in them. And finally, Arcane throws out rotating aura beams that hurt a lot. Get a bunch of those on the screen and you're probably going to backtrack to heal up. There are a lot more than those though, and on harder settings the epics will have 7 or 8 abilities per enemy. It can make the battle a lot more frenzied. Let's just say that you finish the game and want more to do. Well, that's perfectly fine because there is a lot of stuff that can still be played. Sure, you can run through the story again, because some events may not have triggered on your first run through. But if you've already hit the level cap of 70, you then move on to what are called the Paragon levels. Think of it as extra perks for your character. From what I understand, there is no cap to the Paragon parts of the game. Each level you get allows you to put a point in one of 4 categories, which rotate in order. The awesome thing is that this Paragon stat switches over between characters. So say you have a Paragon level of 25 for a wizard, and then start a new Demon Hunter. Those 25 Paragon points carry over, except you'll be able to reallocate them how you see fit, giving that new character a heavy advantage. I should mention that there is a treasure chest in every base that carries between characters too, so if you find gear that you can't use immediately but figure another character can, you can just place it in the chest and switch heroes. In addition to the Paragon, you have the Adventure mode. In this, you're tasked with 5 objectives per each of the acts, plus a bonus objective, which is typically the defeat of one of the bosses. You are able to travel between waypoints as necessary by bringing up the map. You can change what act you're attempting in the same manner. If you complete all 5 bounties for the act for that day, you get a bonus chest, which oftentimes makes you a bit richer and gives you awesome equipment. It's a really fun way to keep enjoying Diablo 3, even after you complete the game a few times. Plus, since maps randomized, you'll never play the same game twice. If I have one complaint about the game, it would be the fact that the majority of the in-game chat is gold scammers. You know the type. They're the ones that constantly tell you to go to a shady website to put in your account info and give them money, and then they'll give you a ton of gold. Up to about a year ago, bots ran rampant, and it wasn't uncommon for me to get about 10 friend requests from strange people every day. Thankfully, you don't see that anymore, but it would be nice if Blizzard would take care of these gold spammers. I know, it's a minor complaint, but it was worth mentioning. I think I can safely wrap up this review because I can't think of anything else to say. Diablo 3 is a must-play for any fan of the genre. The game is lengthy, and with the extra DLC it enhances it even further. I mean, hell, you have to fight death. But with constant content updates, the adventure mode, Paragon levels, and the storyline itself, there's enough here to keep you interested for a long time. Small disclaimer though. As of this writing, players using ATI video cards cannot complete some of the maps, as the newer driver update for Windows 10 makes certain maps like Desolate Sands freeze up, forcing you to close the game and restart it. If you're playing bounty mode, it's not so bad. You can just choose another map. But if it's your first time playing the game, it's going to be a serious roadblock. I just hope this gets patched. Final score? 10 out of 10. This is Reaper. Facebook.com/ReapersReviews. Happy fragging.